Hi, Mr. Mearls. My name is Scott Garibay, and today I have a request for you. So first, I just want to say a big thank you. I have been wonderfully blessed with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and I know you were responsible for leading that team, and I think you made a lot of great decisions to bring us the game that we currently have, and I am just wonderfully delighted with that game. It really is wonderful. So thank you for all the hard work you did, for all the decisions you made, and for really bringing forward a game that really much of the old D&D community has rallied around, and many new people have rallied around, and it's just a wonderful addition to the game, and I really want to say thank you. So I have just thanked you for the standard version of Dungeons & Dragons, and that standard version is traditional physical paper books, the PHB, the Player's Handbook, the Monster Manual, and the Dungeon Master Guide, and those are all wonderful. And I those books are great. But along with those books comes a very distinct style of play, right? Which is traditional Dungeons and Dragons play. And since Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition has come out, I have run 3 campaigns. And I've played in a very long-running campaign, so I've played quite a bit of it, and I really enjoy it. In addition to the standard version of Dungeons & Dragons, you also wisely brought forward a free version of Dungeons & Dragons. Now, I'm blessed, and I've never had to use that. I've always been able to use the full standard version of Dungeons & Dragons, but I know that not everyone is blessed as well as I am. Not everybody has the money to go out and put down, quite a few dollars for a full set of Dungeons & Dragons core rule books. And so it's just, it warms my heart that the free version is out there. It's fantastic, and I just really, I think it's wonderful that you've given away for players to play Dungeons & Dragons without spending $1, and that way they can try it, and if they like it, they can get a PHB, or they can buy all 3 core rule books. So you've delivered a fantastic standard version of Dungeons & Dragons, and you've delivered an amazingly great free version of Dungeons & Dragons, and these are all just awesome, and I'm just really thrilled with both of these versions. But now to the point of my request, and I am making my request of you. I'm requesting that you would please make a Rules Lite version of Dungeons & Dragons. There are people in the Dungeons & Dragons community, I'm part of the Dungeons & Dragons community, and there are a lot of people who talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition as Rules Lite, which I think is pretty ridiculous. It has 3 books, each of which are 250 pages apiece. You're talking 750 pages minimum of content. It's a full-on rules set, right? Now the reason why I'm asking this is, in addition to Dungeons & Dragons, I have really fallen in love with a game called Fate Accelerated. I run Fate Accelerated a lot, and Fate Accelerated is a wonderful game by Fred Hicks. It's a tabletop role-playing game, and I believe that Fred Hicks and Fate Accelerated, Fred Hicks through Fate Accelerated has mastered the Rules Lite system. And the biggest thing that I get to do with Fate Accelerated is I get to tell a story in 2 hours, the length of a movie. And so this has massively changed the type of players that I can attract to my game and that I can keep in campaigns. Because really not everybody's down for 4 or 6 hours of play, which often a Dungeons & Dragons session will go, because it is still blow-by-blow combat, and when I sit down to a game of Dungeons & Dragons, the story zips along, but the combats are 15 minutes or 45 minutes or even sometimes an hour and a half. And so I am requesting a Rules Lite system, and the reason why is, why don't I just play in a generic fantasy world and just be happy with Fate Accelerated? Well, the reason why I'm requesting this, with all due respect, Mr. Mearls, I'm in awe of what you've accomplished with the standard version and with the free version. But the reason why I'm asking this is, if I go to somebody and I say, hey, you want to play Dungeons & Dragons? They know exactly what I'm talking about. But if I go to someone and I say, hey, you want to play Fate Accelerated? there's a long conversation that's going to follow that. And the odds of somebody jumping into Fate Accelerated is low unless I know them or someone else that has gamed with me is vouching for it. Whereas nobody needs to vouch for a Dungeons & Dragons game. So I would really like a Rules Lite version of Dungeons & Dragons. And since you already have a free version out there, I don't think that Rules Lite version needs to be free. I got my wallet ready, and I'm ready to pay. And this would really be, I think it would be a huge boon for the community. I know you have a million things going on. I know the movie's coming up, and I'm sure that's impacting what you guys can do and what you can't. But I do feel that this would really be a huge boon for the Dungeons & Dragons community. And I am requesting, actually, that you would bring Fred Hicks on to do this. Because I think Fred Hicks would. Because I think he understands how important Dungeons & Dragons is to the tabletop role-playing game community as a whole. And, of course, it's a business arrangement, and you would have to get into all that. But, I am making it as a member of the Dungeons & Dragons community, I am making this request to you. If you can't fulfill it, of course, I understand. But I am, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Thank you once again for everything you've done for the Dungeons & Dragons community, Mr. Mearls. I really appreciate all your hard work. I appreciate your wise decisions. And I really, truly am in awe of the new version of Dungeons & Dragons that you've delivered. And I'm hoping that we can have a Rules Lite version of Dungeons & Dragons soon. Thank you. Take care.